stand as we enter into worship. Join me in our call to worship. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord. Bless his name. Proclaim the good news of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glories among the nations, his wonders among all peoples.
Wonderful Father, on this holy day, we are so thankful to be considered by you as members of your family. Thankful that you're coming again. Thankful that you're working out our salvation. We appreciate, Lord, when we consider all the things that are taking place in this world right now. There are signs of Matthew 23 being fulfilled. Wars and rumors of wars. There are all manner of things, Lord. And it just makes us want you to come that much sooner. We want to go home with you. We know that there are children downstairs that need your blessing today. We know that there are adults that couldn't get to church today. They need a blessing. We know that there are other Sabbath-keeping groups elsewhere around the world. What a joy it's going to be when you gather all of them together and we're en route to heaven. Come soon. Accept of our dedication. In Jesus' name, amen.
my privilege to introduce you to somebody who's been part of our ministry team here at Glendale City Church for almost 8 years, but who is also taking on some new responsibilities with us in the months to come. Doreen Latanayu has been the person who's been in the fellowship hall week after week, worshiping with the 20 to 30 of our Romanian congregation from week to week that meets and worships in their language. And this fall, he is joining us in doing some additional ministry during our worship services on Saturday, our English-speaking Sabbath school classes, helping me with pastoral responsibilities during the week. And so it's our privilege to welcome Doreen to this expanded role, and I just want to give him an opportunity to greet you.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Sabbath. It's a great privilege and honor to be here with you this morning. I've been here for the last 8 years, but definitely this is a different experience. I've been with the Romanian group, and by the way, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, not just for this last 8 years. I want to thank you for the last 30 years in which you offered us, to the Romanian group, the possibility to gather here, to be here. It's a wonderful opportunity. We have a long history, and we're so happy because we can develop a bridge and a wonderful relationship in the near future. I'm happy to work in an experienced team with Pastor Todd, with Pastor Torres, Pastor Lynn Leif, Pastor Arlene. I'm happy. I already been a part of some meetings. It was great, especially the one from last week on a board. I never had to vote for such big plans. This church has a wonderful future. I'm not going to tell you nothing because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's for the first time when I had to vote for something absolutely incredible. So I'll let the other pastor to introduce this wonderful plan and vision for this church. I am married. My wife Deborah is right over there, and we also have with us the Romanian group. They're spread everywhere. We're happy to be here. We're happy to help. I'm happy to be part of this church, this family. I'm happy to work with Pastor Todd, and I hope to complete him. I hope so, because you know the difference between completed and finished, right? Think about it. I mean, bring the right pastor assistant and you are completed. Bring the unprepared person or the unright person as an assistant and you're finished. So I will hope that I'm going to be in the part of being complete, not finished, because I'm ready to learn from you, I'm ready to observe, and I'm ready to grow up in this church. And this will not mean only my presence, also the Romanian church. The only difference that has been is the language barrier, but we don't speak neither English or Romanian. We hope to speak the language of heaven. Amen. And we thank you so much again for this wonderful opportunity. And I look forward to know you because it's easy for you. You got to keep in mind only one name, but I want to learn all of you. Thank you again.
Thank you. If you happen to be from Finland, you can be finished and completed at the same time. So just there's grace for you in that. But I really am already really impressed with Doreen and what he has to offer and his enthusiasm and passion. It'll be great to work together in the months to come. With that, it is time for one of my favorite parts of the service, which is our children's story. And as you're getting accustomed to, our children will be coming in at this time, and their lovely faces will be coming to you and seeing if you have any offering you would like to contribute to support the students from our church that need student assistance to attend our Adventist school. So please watch for the children as they come forward now.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. There we go. Yeah, it does feel soft. Okay, so today I have a story for you guys about a brother and a sister named Stephanie and Mark, okay? Do you guys have brothers and sisters? Yeah? You guys are probably older, younger. Well, Mark was older, and his little sister was 6 years old. Her name was Stephanie, okay? I've already told you guys that Pastor Arlene is my older sister, right? You guys remember that? Okay, well, do you guys have older siblings, maybe? Do you guys get along with them right now? No. Okay, like I said, it'll get better, I promise, okay? But Stephanie and Mark in particular, Mark would always tease her. She was only 6 years old and he was 9, so he was older and bigger and stronger, so he would always tease her. He'd walk by and pull her hair. And like when she was drawing on the table, he'd move the table so she would like mess up her drawing, or she would be walking down and he would like tickle her and poke her, just being a normal older brother. Just, poking at her and joking around with her all the time, right? So, do you guys know how to ride a bike? Yeah. All of you guys, yeah? How about the little ones? Do you guys know how to ride a bike? Yeah? You do? Yeah, well, I remember the first time I rode my bike, it was hard. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I was like, but as soon as you learned, it was really fun, right? Yeah, have you guys ever fallen off your bike? Yeah.
I have fallen off my scooter.
Yeah, fallen off your scooter too. Did you guys ever scrape yourselves or hurt yourselves or do any of that? I've done all of the above, right? Yeah, you hurt yourself, you get cut. Well, one day, Stephanie was learning how to ride her bike, and she was, on there, and she started getting a hang of it, and she was doing really good. And Mark, her older brother, was watching her, and he was like, wow, she's actually doing really good. But guess what happened? She hit a bump, and what happened? She fell, and she scraped her knees up so much, and she started to cry, and she was like, ugh. Mark was watching her, though. What do you think he did? With his reputation, maybe he could have laughed, right? She fell off her bike. What do you think he did, though? He went over there, he helped her, and he started, oh, you cut your knees. Oh, let me go get a Band-Aid, okay? So he got a Band-Aid just like this one, and he went and he put it on her knee, and he was helping her, and he helped her get up, he helped her get her bike up, and they went back home, and he told their mom and their dad, and said, she's cut, but I put a Band-Aid on it, right? So, sometimes it's a little hard to be nice to our family, unfortunately, right? But God always wants us to be caring not only to our family, but to everyone, all right? Even if we poke and tease at each other, we always have to think of some special way to especially let our family know, our church family know, our brothers, our sisters, our moms, and our dads know that we love them and we care about them, okay? So we can do small things like help around the house, or just run up to your mom or your dad or your sister, your brother, your cousin, whatever, even the members here at church, and just give them a big hug, So I've prepared these little Band-Aids for you guys. Yeah. Oh, careful. Let's restrain him. Okay. So I've prepared these little Band-Aids for you guys that say right here, God helps me care for my family, all right? So I want you guys to each of you guys take one of these Band-Aids, okay? I'm going to pass them out to you. And then you guys can put them on your hand, or go ahead and put them on mom's hand or dad's hand or your sister, your brother, so it can remind you guys to do something nice to your family this week, okay? So, the story is done, but now it's actually time for the congregation to stand up and greet each other as well.
Our scripture reading this morning is taken from the great prophet Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, in the 58th chapter, verses 6 through 12. I will be reading the light print, and will you please join me in reading the bold print? Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, "Here I am." If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. This ends the reading of the word.
One quick announcement that I want to make sure everyone is aware of is that next Saturday we have the privilege of having a German children's choir who will be leading us in our musical worship. It's going to be a wonderful treat. Our Glendale City Church Youth Choir will be joining them, and we are looking forward to a wonderful blessing. Many of you graciously have opened your homes to provide lodging for these children. And after worship today, Pastor Arlene and Lissy Quisenberry will want to meet with the families quickly to give you some information. So if you would mind, those of you who are host families coming to the front of the sanctuary, we'll just have a short meeting to give you some important information about their arrival next week. Before I wanted to be a pastor, I wanted to be an architect. I would spend my growing up years with Legos, constructing magnificent structures, both on Earth and in space. I would get graph paper at the store, and I would be drawing blueprints of homes, blueprints of churches, blueprints of football and basketball stadiums, blueprints of airports, every sort of thing, constantly drawing up plans to make magnificent structures. I love the interstate system of Los Angeles. Not for sitting on the freeway system in Los Angeles, but I love the whole system of it, and the bridges, and the on-ramps, and the off-ramps, and the carpool lanes, and the whole structure system that goes with constructing a network of roads and freeways. I love walking through airports, not nearly as much now with the new security measures, but I still love just observing how airports function and how they're laid out and how things work. One of the things I always look at when I get on an airplane is I go to the back where they show the map routes of where this airline flies and all the little arcs that go to the different cities and where are the hub centers for their airline and where do they go and where do they go internationally. I'm fascinated by all this type of stuff. I could spend hours just looking at a road map. I like keeping up with what's going on with the metro system in LA. I've never ridden the metro, and yet I'm fascinated by the expansion of the subway system, the train cars. I'm interested so much in all this stuff. I wanted to be an architect or a civil engineer, city planner, something like that. But something happened, and it may have been the fact that I was failing pre-calculus and physics. It's possible that I had some, I don't know. But I shifted into being a pastor. And that may sound like it's a drastic change in interest and focus. But for me, it really actually wasn't. It was very similar. My passion for an infrastructure made of cement, iron, brick, and wood turned to a passion for living in, figuring out, and helping to develop an infrastructure of human relationships. How do we build stronger families? How do we make churches that thrive relationally? How do we engage beyond our walls to create a stronger city infrastructure of relationships? How do we build one another up to make us stronger, healthier, working together more effectively, living together, loving together? It's still focused on infrastructure and building something. It's just shifted from roads and bridges and railways to relationships between each other. The passage that we read with Colette this morning in Isaiah 58, I think speaks to the heart of God's call to us. That we would be people who rebuild the ancient ruins of lives that have been decimated by evil and suffering. That we would be seen as people who raise up the old foundations of strong families, neighborhoods, and congregations. That we would be recognized as repairers of walls that provide safety and security to all people in our city. That we would be known as restorers of the relational streets and sidewalks and pathways that would connect us to one another and provide access to dwellings where everyone can find rest and peace. There is this ongoing thing that speaks through the prophets of Scripture that is referred to again and again in the teachings and ministry of Jesus Christ, that we are called to come together to figure out how all of us in our uniqueness and differences and conflicting personalities and cultures and ideologies, that somehow, some way, we figure out how to come together and not compete with one another, not to fight against one another, but somehow to come together and work together, to learn how to love together, to build something up where no one is left behind, that everyone has a chance to excel and exceed in experiencing the fullness of the life that God gives, to live fully in His salvation, and to experience His grace and to bring His grace to others. I can't tell you how excited I am to engage in the conversation that I'm going to have this morning. Glendale City Church has a long history of seeking to reach out and bless and build up the city of Glendale. Today we're going to look at one of the ways that we have been doing that for 30 years. And we're also going to be looking at a couple of new opportunities that are developing that we can choose to partner with to not only strengthen what happens within the walls of our church, but much more so how to strengthen the entire city of Glendale through what we do. Before we begin our conversations, I want to direct you to make sure you have this card that was given to you in your bulletin, that you will have this out in front of you. And then I want to ask our deacons who are serving today, if you would take a moment. We have some boxes of pencils up at the front. I want you to move throughout the congregation at this time. And if you need a pencil, if you don't have something to write with, I want you to raise your hand and make sure the deacons know that you need something to write with, because I am expecting that everyone here will be filling this out to some degree based upon how you feel God is speaking to your heart today in regards to what we talk about. So please, there's a deacon. Ron is up in the balcony. Stephen and Lee are down here on the floor. If you don't have something to write with, would you please raise your hand? Make sure you have something today, because we expect that all of you will be turning one of these in during our offering collection today. As they're passing that out, I'm going to invite our emeritus pastor, Rudy Torres, to join me up front to begin our conversation. if we wanted to find out how to do church and what a church can do for its city, all we would need to do is sit at the feet of this man and let him tell us how to do that, because he's spent decades leading churches to be more engaged with their community. When he was pastor of this congregation in the 80s, senior pastor of this church in the 80s, one of the things that Rudy was involved with was starting the A+ Adventist Children's Center here on our campus. And so, Rudy, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about how that got started and some of the history of A+.
All right, I'll make it brief because it's a long history. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I sang too loudly and I got hoarse. I can't resist the congregational hymns. They bring me out of my seat. When I became pastor of this church, there were 2 children under the age of 10. My daughter, Allison, and Monique McGuffin. Allison and Monique are still best friends. But we said, we have to do something to begin to attract young families. And so somebody came up with the idea, I don't know whose idea it was, to start a children's center, A+. And we took it to the board, and we had plans to do it a year hence. And Dr. Kendall Brown, wonderful man, was on the church board, and he said, we can't wait a year. He says, we have a need now. And so we operated 1 year illegally because he kept pushing us. And we thought, well, separation of church and state, we are. But he had all sorts of patients that he wanted to refer, and in no time at all, we had the place full. And people began to trickle into our Sabbath school divisions. It began to work. Word got out. City Church is really family-friendly and children-friendly, and that's what we did. We saw it as a ministry, which of course it is and still is. I'll tell you a couple of stories. One of the stories is that we had a little fund to help poor people or people who couldn't afford, the tuition. And one day, our director got a call from a woman, and here's what had happened. This woman and her 2 children, somebody had tried to kill them in Chicago. Their house had gone up in smoke. Fortunately for her, her husband was involved in I don't know what, but it wasn't good. And fortunately, she worked for a national company, and she had been transferred here to Los Angeles. But she had 2 young daughters and was looking for a preschool. Well, the first place she went was A+, and we decided to call it A+, so that it would appear first in the Yellow Pages. And she told her story, and when she heard the tuition, she said, well, I can't afford it, and hung up. And immediately the director said, why didn't I tell her we had scholarship funds? And so she called everybody together, and they prayed, please have this lady call again. We can't let her slip from our grasp. And within an hour, she called, and she said, she said, something just told me that I want my kids to be at A+. I don't have money. Do you have scholarships? Yes. That's how we met this wonderful family. They became Adventists. They became, if I told you their names, you would immediately recognize them. But for many years, they were here as a part of our congregation. And then one other story. There was a family who were Muslim. And somehow, the teachers were so loving and so kind that they one day came and talked to me and said, we'd like to become Christians. And we baptized a whole family of Muslims, mother, father, and 2 children, right here in this baptistry. And Hovik, who is, the Armenian leader, said, do you realize that Glendale City Church has baptized 5 Muslims this year? That is more than the entire Middle Eastern Division. We started it as a ministry. My daughter went there. I can tell you that she received, parents feel guilty when they take their kids to a preschool. And I felt terribly guilty, so I would go right after school and say, Allison, let's go do something. Dad, please, can't I stay here? That's ministry.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, our pastor just moved on, Pastor Charisse. Her daughter, Caitlin, she couldn't get her out of the preschool till 6 o'clock at night when they closed the doors. It was the same thing. She loved being there. She loved the teachers, loved the students. So tell us a little bit about what's happening now. Tell us about our director. Tell us about, you're a member of the school board, so you kind of have the ear to what's happening with A+. Tell us what's going on.
Glendale is changing, and so the census is down. And we desperately need 10 new students. I know the Lord has them somewhere. They're looking for a place, and we have the place. We just have to help the Lord make those connections. And so that's where we need your help. If you know of anybody who needs a wonderful preschool, and I can tell you it is the finest preschool in all of this area. We've had wonderful leadership. Colette was for many years chair of the board. Glenn Peterson is now chair of the board. Christensen, sorry. What we're doing right now is we are looking at new ways to market a wonderful product. And we're looking for 10 new students. I'm involved. I can't be any more happier to be back involved because I really do believe in this ministry. We cannot afford not to continue ministering to our community. Can't do it. It's much more difficult. There are fewer of us. Our resources are down. We cannot give up the battle because this is the Lord's battle, and I'm in it until I can't walk anymore.
No. So tell us about, in addition, in inviting families that we know, and in fact, if as you leave today from any exit, near that exit you will see brochures like this that say A+ Adventist Children's Center. And you may know a family or two who have preschool-age children who may be looking for a place to put their kids. I would very much encourage you to take an opportunity to give this to your friends or family this week. Invite them to come check it out. Any other thing that we can do to help the school right now, Rudy? Anything that we can do?
From time to time, the school has fundraising initiatives. That's our opportunity to help. And so, and of course, pass the word.
Absolutely. I think one big fundraiser, the big one that the school has every year, is coming up at the end of October, and you'll see more information about this in the weeks to come. But we have a silent auction that takes place at A+, where there's a lot of great gifts that if you're thinking of Christmas shopping, there are great things that you can get for Christmas if you come to that silent auction. That'll be on October 30, right over at our fellowship hall. It's a great night, great food, great people, and a great opportunity to raise money for our school. Our director, Melissa Smith, she couldn't be here today, but I know she would be thrilled if you called and she set up an appointment with you. She'd love to take you through the school, introduce you to some of the teachers. We have so many teachers who've been part of the school for so many years, just provide consistent quality love and education to our kids day in and day out. I think if you spend a little time walking through that building with Melissa, you would be impressed with the quality of preschool education that is happening there. So, and by the way, let me ask those of you who have been involved over the years. I know Colette has been, Beverly Tarr has been school board chairman, Anush has been director for so many years, and our current board chairman, Glenn Christensen. Would you guys stand for a second? Anyone who's been involved on our board or been involved in leading our school over the years, please stand. Grateful for all the ministry that you do. So please take a moment while, as we're transitioning, please take a moment to look at how you can contribute and commit to the mission of A+ on your card and check accordingly. Thank you so much, Rudy, for sharing. Dave, you've been involved in doing something for the last year or so, starting a youth orchestra for the city of Glendale. Now, the confusion I have about that, well, okay, I'm acting. I know the story, but I'm playing, it's a setup. I'm setting this up. But we already have a children's youth orchestra in the city of Glendale. So why do you feel the need to start another one?
Let me give a little background first. Almost 2 years ago, I was approached by Peter Luna, who was the associate pastor here for many years, and he said, "Are you acquainted with El Sistema?" And I said, "What? I never heard of it." And he said, "Oh, you must get acquainted with this. Go get this book, buy it and read it, and let's talk about it." So I did, and then I checked things out online and discovered that here was an orchestra program that started in Caracas, Venezuela, almost 30 years ago. It started in the barrios, and it focused on the children who were most at risk and underprivileged in the city. And it started an orchestra program for them. That program has now spread all over the world. There are, just in Venezuela, 250,000 children involved in the orchestra program there. And so it took me about a year to process all of this. And last fall, I began looking around and thinking, this really would be a wonderful ministry for Glendale City to be able to reach out to our community. And yes, I know there's a Glendale Youth Orchestra. I was involved when it started 25 years ago because I was the director of the Glendale Regional Arts Council, and one of the members of my board was an attorney who started the Glendale Youth Orchestra during the time we were doing that. So I contacted him and I said, I'm not looking to have any competition, but I'd love to try and find a way that we could partner with the Glendale Youth Orchestra. And he said, well, I'm retiring, but you need to talk to the current director of the orchestra and get in touch with their board and talk to them about it. And so I did. And they were delighted because they said, this is completely different than what we're doing. The kids who come to the Glendale Youth Orchestra, many of whom came through Glendale Adventist Academy, are paying lots of big money to have lessons, and they pay a fee every quarter to belong to the orchestra. If you're going to be starting with kids who are at risk and in the underprivileged sections of Glendale, we would love to partner with you, and as you discover kids who move through that program, we will provide them with a full scholarship, no charge, to become part of the Glendale Youth Orchestra. So I had a partner. I also approached the Glendale Pops Orchestra and the Glendale Philharmonic, and all three of these groups said, we'd like to be working with you, and we will provide a free ticket to all of the children who are part of your program and their parents to attend one concert every year. wonderful education for these kids. Then I started looking and figuring out exactly where we needed to do something like this. You know, Glendale's a fairly affluent community. But I started checking, and I knew that there were some challenges, and there were some at-risk kids and underprivileged kids, in underserved kids in the south part of Glendale. So I did a little research and eventually discovered that 89% of the children attending one of the schools in South Glendale were eligible for Title I support. That meant that 89% of these children came from families whose income was below the poverty level. In Glendale, 60% of them are from Latino backgrounds. So we had a wonderful place to begin in looking to try and build something that would help, especially in this area. And we hope that we can expand beyond one school to include a lot of schools, because there are several schools in the area that are quite similar in many ways, but we didn't want to start hitting everything all at once. We wanted to start slow and continue to build until we had something in place.
So this sounds really nice. I mean, it's nice to give kids a chance to play music. I mean, that's something that most of us as parents try to give our kids the opportunity to experiment, to see if that's something that really is a passion for theirs. But you, through your research with El Sistema and these programs, you found out there's benefits way beyond just the capacity to learn an instrument and play with an orchestra. Talk about some of those health and communal benefits.
Yeah, one of the things that really is also different between the youth orchestra, Glendale Youth Orchestra, and this orchestra is that we're going to be providing free music education, free lessons, and free instruments to all of the children. So, this is going to be providing something that they'd never have otherwise. Mm-hmm. The kids in the school that we're focusing on have music in the school, which doesn't happen in every public school. But let me tell you what it's like. There's a teacher that comes in on Friday to that school, and she has 1 hour with each grade level. What we're proposing is that we will have 4 days a week an after-school program, and these kids will have 2 hours every one of those days. That's 8 hours of music education and learning every week versus 1 hour that they would normally get in the grade that they're in. So let's see, coming back to your question, what are the benefits? What happens to these kids? Well, there's more and more research that's happening all the time. And it's showing that when children begin at a young age with music, it affects their brain development. And the USC Creativity and Brain Institute is in the process of doing a 5-year study with the students who are part of the YOLA program that's part of the LA Philharmonic, and they're in the 2nd year of that. But just a month ago, Northwestern University released a study that they had done that showed that the children in one of the projects here that's part of the Harmony Project, 90% of those children, and in some of the studies it's shown 95% of the children graduate from high school and go on to college. That compares to 50% in the rest of the community that surrounds them, doubling the opportunity for these kids to have more education. It also has increased their abilities in significant ways to perform what are called the executive functions of the brain, the reasoning capacities, the math things that music helps them to learn. One mother said, my daughter's doing so much better in math because of the music program, because she now knows how to divide these notes into fractions and divide the measures. So it's helping her with this, and it's helping with her reading skills. It's helping with all of these other parts of the brain that help you to be able to think through processes and make decisions. So the program really helps to build strong community and helps these children to become actively involved in the community, because many of the kids that are at risk, they end up being part of a gang or getting involved with drugs because they're looking for community. What has been shown with programs like this through El Sistema is that these at-risk youth end up finding the community they're looking for in the orchestra, and all of these other things drop off. It's amazing the change that happens within a community when this orchestra program has been started.
Which kind of leads to your name, which is one that all of us have had to practice and learn because it's one we're not familiar with, unless we're music snobs like you and the people in the choir. But the name is Sejura. And so why the name Sejura, and how does it define your mission?
Sejura is a musical term, and it's usually referred to, even by musicians, as the railroad tracks. And so when the music shows these two lines coming in, it means there's a complete break. And that's what we're creating for these children and youth. We're creating a break, giving them a break so that they can then begin to enjoy, perform, and study music and move to a different place in their lives that helps them to do this. So that's our mission, is to create this break for kids who may not have it otherwise.
So we're just a couple months away from launching, and tell us a little bit about the first school you're working with and the people, other people, organizations in the city that are collaborating with us on this.
Okay. We're going to be starting at the Cerritos Elementary School, which is in South Glendale, right across from Forest Lawn. And we're going to be focusing just with the 3rd through 5th graders and starting with about 30 to 50 kids. And we're ready to go with that. I met with parents and children a few weeks ago, and we already have 35 who said that they want to be part of the program. So we're working with the Glendale Unified School District. The school district has waived all fees for us to be part of the after-school program. Normally they would have a memorandum of understanding and all this sort of thing, but they're so excited about us doing it that they said, just have your own liability insurance, and we're waiving all of those other things because we want to be supportive of that. So we have the Glendale Unified School District. We have teachers within the school district who are helping us with this. We have the Chamber of Commerce president who has given us an endorsement. We're going to be reaching out as soon as we launch to give explanation to the various service clubs in Glendale about the program. And once we launch, we can't go for some of the fundraising that we want to do until after we launch. And so once we launch, we also have contact with the Ella Fitzgerald Foundation. We have a contact with the president of the Disney Foundation. The Seroptimists have given us an application to provide with that. We're working with the Community Foundation of the Verdugos, and they've invited us to bring a grant to them at their next round, which is in February. So, and we're working with USC. When I started this project, I realized that while I've worked in nonprofits for a long time, I hadn't started a program like this, and I wanted to make sure that we were successful with it. So I contacted the person who was one of the founders for the Harmony Project. The Harmony Project now has 14 orchestras between Santa Barbara and San Diego. And that program started in 2001. And Phoenix Delgado was one of the people that started that. He's now the assistant dean for advancement for the USC Thornton School of Music. And when Gustavo Dudamel came in 2007, he looked at the program that was happening with the Harmony Project, and he said, this has been adapted properly for the city of Los Angeles. The LA Philharmonic wants to do this, and we want to model our program after that program. So he got in touch with Phoenix and had Phoenix help with some of the development of the program that has developed as the Youth Orchestras of Los Angeles under the LA Philharmonic. So I have a good mentor. because he's the one that started these, was responsible for working with these other projects and is helping us to move forward with this, and is going to continue to be my mentor on it.
Excellent. Well, on this card, there's a number of ways that we can commit to assisting Sejura in its mission, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about how we can help you with this benefit concert that's coming up on November 9th.
I continually am amazed at the way that things come together for our planning for this orchestra. 3 weeks ago yesterday, I was on Facebook and I saw a name pop up as a possible friend. And I looked because I checked first to see if the person has some connections that I have. And this person had a lot of different connections from different groups and people that I know. And I thought, who is this person? So I tried to go to their site, but they had a lot of privacy on their site, so I couldn't get much information. So I decided to try and send a friend request. As soon as I got the friend request, then I could go in and look at the profile, and I discovered that this is the director of the orchestra program at La Sierra University. And he also is the director of the Dana Point Community Symphony Orchestra. So we connected and we started talking, and I said, I need you to meet a couple of people I think would be helpful with some of the things you're doing. And I said, and I'm working with the new Sejura Youth Orchestra in Glendale. And he said, how can we help you? And I said, well, one of the things we really need is to get some strong funding happening. He said, well, we have a concert coming up on November 15, and we'd like to be able to perform the music someplace prior to the time we perform it in Riverside on the 15th of November. Do you have availability on the 9th of November? And I said, we will make that available. So we contacted the church. The church made this wonderful space available for us. The La Sierra University Orchestra will be here on that Sunday at 7 p.m. They're performing a very popular symphony, Dvorak's Ninth Symphony, and appropriately, it's the New World Symphony, because that's what we're doing for these kids. We're creating a new world for them. So we'd love to have your support. If every one of you here this morning would invite 2 other people to join you, we'd pack the place. We have set several goals for ourselves so that we maximize the amount of the benefit that we get from this. We're sending out invitations to a number of special guests, including dignitaries within the city of Glendale, within the business community, and within the educational community that will be joining us that night. We already have responses from some of them. And then we will have VIP tickets. Those tickets, the people who sit in this front section will be paying $250, which is a significant amount, but we already have 4 people from this congregation who've made that commitment to be a part of that group. And those tickets not only pay for their attendance, but provide a ticket for our student, one of the students in the CYO, and their parent to attend the concert as well, giving them another educational experience to do that. And then we'll have some reserved seat tickets, but we want to make it available to everyone. And so the general ticketing is just $20, so that we feel like many will be able to do that. We're also reaching out to students at Glendale Community College and other places and offering some special student tickets. And this week we talked to Glendale Adventist Academy, and their students from their band and choir will be dressed in formal attire and serve as, we've asked them to serve as our ushers for that evening to help us out with things. We've also made an approach to Porto's Bakery, and we'll find out within the next week if they're going to follow through on that, come through with the request we've given, but we've asked them to provide desserts for our VIP guests and our special guests and the orchestra following the concert. So it's an exciting night coming up.
If this place seats around 800 people, if we fill this place, how much money will be raised for Sejura?
If we fill and meet our goals with each of the different levels, we will raise $30,000 for the orchestra.
And that gets Sejura off the ground to provide their teacher with their salary that they need to teach the kids. That's something we can do. We can fill this place, and we can get this organization off the ground if we all commit to bringing our friends and filling this place on November 9th.
Yeah. There's one other thing on here that says, give a significant financial gift to CYO. We're happy for any gift.
Every gift is significant?
Every gift is significant, whether it's $10 or whatever it is that you want to do, or if you'd like to do something on a monthly basis. We know that this is something that's going to be ongoing for years to come. It's one of those things that's similar to what happened with the All Saints Church in Pasadena that started a number of nonprofit organizations within the city of Pasadena, and eventually the people of Pasadena said, here's a congregation that's really doing something for our community. We want to be part of that congregation. It doesn't happen immediately, but it's the kind of thing that builds community. In a minute you're going to hear about another organization, Communitas. Back when we started Sejura, I asked the director, the person who's now the director of Communitas, to be on our board. So we have a great link to tie these two organizations together in reaching out to our community.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much for what you're doing with this, and we look forward to what happens as we work together on Sejura. So please take a moment, think about how you can contribute to helping Sejura get off the ground, what boxes you can check saying, I'm on board for supporting this. And thank you for what you will do to help Sejura get started. The last two people I want to invite to join us are Jason Schlatter and Mary Kayat to talk to us a little bit about Glendale Communitas Initiative. Since I've been here, one of the things that our pastoral staff has been working on, just an ongoing conversation, dialogue, was how we could do something of significance to connect with the people in the city of Glendale, connect with others in service, connect with those who needed assistance, and to do something that was really transforming for the city of Glendale. Every congregation has people who comes to its doors looking for assistance, looking for help, looking for a handout. And so often we're not in a position to do anything that really makes a difference. It gets people maybe to another meal or to another day, but to never really do something that really changes their life for the better, gets them moving in the right direction, gets them what they truly need. And so we've been wrestling for quite a while on how to do that, pulling in other people to ask questions and to discuss how to go about that. Starting this summer, you two joined us and took on the lead of helping us develop an organization that we believe will move us towards being part of being a solution for many families in the city of Glendale. So why don't you share with us a little bit about the approach that you're taking in providing community service and developing the organization. Talk about what the mission and vision of Glendale Communitas Initiative is.
Sure. So the Glendale Communitas Initiative, I think initially started out as Communitas congregations. And as you mentioned, congregations, it's a great place to start. In a city the size of Glendale, where you have 200,000 people, 30,000 of them are at or below the poverty level. That's 5,000 families. And most of them tend to be very active in their community churches. So it's a great place to begin. They know their neighborhoods. They know the support. That's where the people reside. But very often, as you mentioned, they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the resources. So we came to this thinking, all right, let's be a little holistic about this approach. and let's talk to nonprofit organizations because they have services in place, they have some infrastructure. But for viability and long distance, we need to talk to local business leaders that are also going on. For the economic support and the ongoing, they've got the jobs. These are people that people look to hire and keep them going. And then the civic sector. All of these working together, all of these different sectors, the civic, the churches, the nonprofits, the businesses, that's really where our mission had come out of, which is doing good together for the one sole purpose of advancing the health and well-being of Glendale and building a stronger community.
So you've been just finding out what's been going on the ground, what's been happening, what the needs are out there. Since you started in June, you've spent these last 4 months researching and getting to know really the details and finding out what's happening. So how did you do this? Who did you end up talking to, and what were some of the things that you found out?
Well, before, is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. So before I tell you about all the meetings we've had, I do want to say, add my voice to is everything okay?
Okay, I think we'll be okay.
Okay. I wanted to say that since I've joined this church, it has been my dream as well to see us as a church do something, go outside the walls of the church and be a part of the community and do something together. So we have that opportunity now, and we're very excited. Obviously, Jason and I, when we started about 3-4 months ago, we did our own research, and we studied the research that was done by the major hospitals here in Glendale. And we realized that in order to build a stronger community partnership between us and our community, we needed to reach out and talk to all sectors of the community. So we started with the local government, and a big shout out to Sandy Schultz for, I think we were working less than 2 weeks, and she offered to put us in touch with one of the council members. So thank you for that. And since then, we have met with several council members. We've met with city manager. We've met with community development agency, the community services director. We listened to them. We shared our vision with them. And what excited the governmental sector more than anything was the real collaborative structure that we were going to put in place. And also the financial aspect of our programs were the two things that really stood out for them, and they were very supportive. We also spoke with the businesses. Business leaders, as most of you know, they are more result-oriented. They are a little bit skeptical about poverty. They see it as a chronic issue, and they don't think there is ever an end to poverty, and there is some truth to that. But when they realize that our program is going to be different in a way where we are going to stand with those families for an entire year, they realized that they will see the result at the end of the year, and that was something that they could buy into. We met with the nonprofit organizations. We learned a lot from them. These are the people with the biggest hearts, with the most compassion, and they are just doing amazing work. And what we learned from them is what has been working in the city, what is not working, and what is missing. Their job is to really take care of the families or individuals who go to them with the services that they're offering. Their job is not to really take that family and look at them holistically. So they were very excited that we are not reinventing the wheel, we are not duplicating any programs that are out there, but that we're going to work with them and support them when we can, and we will be filling the gaps, more or less, in addition to the program that we are working on. We also met with expert matter professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, people who will be vetting the families that we'll be working with. And Jason and I, our calendars are pretty booked for the next couple of months with more meetings and more talking, having a dialogue with the community to find out how we can collaborate and work together.
So you've been meeting with the government sector, meeting with business leaders in the city, meeting with the major nonprofit organizations in our city that are doing such great work.
And obviously the congregations, which you can speak to that.
Yeah, we've over the summer I've had the chance to meet with 13 different pastors of 13 congregations in our city, and asking them and finding out about what they're already doing on their own in the city. And there's some churches that are doing some amazing ministry already in the city to serve people in need. But they also, as I talked with each one of them, they said, but we feel like we're just spinning our wheels. We don't feel like we're actually seeing any real progress, and we feel like we could do so. There could be so much more done, but we can't do it on our own. And so when we talk about, hey, what if we were able to start pulling the congregations of the city of Glendale together to work with the government, to work with the nonprofit sector, to work with business leaders, what could develop if we all work together? And each of them got so excited. And so just this last a week ago Friday, Jason, Mary, and I sat down in Panera Bread at the corner of Brandon, California, and sat down with 10 other church leaders. And we had our first religious leader advisory session, starting to talk about how we will collaborate together as congregations in this city.
And by the way, that is something that's never, ever happened in the city of Glendale.
When they tell government leaders and business leaders, they say, what? Methodists, Catholics, Adventists, Lutherans are getting together and
along with businesses and nonprofits.
Want to work with a business nonprofit. We have never seen that before.
No, actually, they actually stopped us and said, wait a minute. Yes, we're talking to everybody. And this is the first time that collectively they're all getting on board as a group to bring their separate expertise to the table to help and move Glendale forward.
And we fully expect, because the pastors who met at this first meeting, we expect that they said they'll be inviting other colleagues that they know. We fully expect to have 20 congregations or more represented by our next meeting in October, and are from different cultural demographics. We have Latino congregations, Armenian congregations, English-speaking congregations. We expect to have Filipino, Korean, Brazilian on board in the future. We expect to really pull together many of the congregations in our city to work together. So this is the collaborative power of what can happen, bringing all the resources to bear, where we're not taking over anything that anybody else is doing, but we're helping what they're doing to have greater impact, and then to do some things new that haven't been done to really take a holistic approach to serving families. It's got a lot of buzz with the people that you guys have talked with so far. So you've been kind of giving hints and pieces of what we're going to be doing, but talk specifically about this program that I'm never sure how to say, GCI or Communitas, whatever our shorthand name for it is going to be. Talk about the program that you're getting ready to start, and where we are in that process.
Well, I think Communitas really kind of a good grab. It's community. That's what we're about. So after going and talking to all of these groups, asking them what do they need, what do they see as missing, the one through line that kept that kept popping up, but the main one we've landed on is that we're getting more and more people here in crisis mode and just need a break. They're one car wreck away, they're one paycheck away, they're one medical incident away from really falling completely apart and down into crisis, and that's a very difficult road to get back up and out of. So a family stability program, an economic stability program. I mean, there's a lot of research showing that And again, for these people that are right at or above the poverty level, those 5,000 families, when you're in that mode long term, the part of your brain that deals with long-term planning shuts off. You're in crisis. You're reacting. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy other than to feed my kids, work my 2 jobs, keep the car going, getting to what I need done. Even with 2-parent homes, working multiple jobs and taking care of that, it's about now. I got to stay alive. I have to keep off the street. I need to feed my kids and keep moving. So what we are wanting to bring to that is, okay, we'll provide the break. You need your rent taken care of. For those who qualify for this program, we'll partner with them with case management and mentors. What do you need? And plan this out. So we will take care of this part of you financially, and with what you're saving, here's what we can do to bring in these pro bono specialists, give you some financial literacy. So a year from now, you're out of this moment of crisis. You have tools and you have the ability to stand up a little bit more on your feet and be more self-reliant and move forward. And the only thing that we ask of them after partnering with us for 12 months is that they come and volunteer for the next year with the next group or with some of the other nonprofits that are helping us move forward. So it's providing them with a case manager to really help and do that planning. But where the churches come in, and this is a great model we're borrowing from another program in Los Angeles that has a 90% success rate from working this way, is the one-on-one coaching, mentorship, partnering, coming from congregations, from faith organizations. It is that constant human contact that is the difference between success and not moving forward. That is, for us, the biggest thing. So it's providing them the economic break, giving them the tools, whether that's adult literacy, which we found from many of the nonprofits. People don't go out and ask for help from the nonprofits and even the civic sectors because they can't read the forms that they need to read in order to fill them out. So there are some programs that have started in the city to address that. We're going to be working towards that as well, or putting them in touch with these literacy programs. We're going to need tutors. We're going to need those, so again, part of this mentoring level. 12 months makes a huge impact on a family's life to move them from crisis to a little bit more self-reliance. And the other item that we ran across is dealing with education, whether it's adult literacy, computer literacy, looking for jobs, fiscal literacy, is education. A lot of people would be able to just boost their income a little bit forward if they had even an associate's degree or a certificate. So we had conversations with the Glendale Community College. They said, oh, great, we've got hundreds of scholarships. You just need to be a student first. Well, to be a student, that means you have to have purchased 12 credits to get a scholarship. For a person in need, that is a huge barrier to overcome. So they said, well, we have an option. We have an off-campus scholarship, so if you want to provide that, yeah, we can work with you. So that's the second piece that we're doing. We will provide for 1 year of tuition and 1 year of books. $3,300 covers both for 1 year for a student. And if they want that second year of tuition free, they have to volunteer 60 hours back in the Glendale community for the nonprofits. So it's helping the people of Glendale educate themselves, move forward, and that volunteer, again, comes back and just builds those stronger ties within the community. All of us get to go up and move forward together. Mm-hmm. So those are the two main things that we've landed on after talking with everybody from these different sectors. Okay. And we're ready to have our first advisory board meeting, again, representation from each of these. And you've mentioned our congregational communities. Within 30 minutes of us having that meeting on Friday, 2 of them reached out and says, I'm bringing you this, I'm bringing you these people, here's another nonprofit that wants to get involved, we'll see you with even more resources at the next meeting. They're ready to go. We're at that point.
So our hope is that you will be launching our first pilot program on the family stability. What's the start date?
The beginning of the year. That's the goal.
Okay. Hoping 20, 25 families.
Just as a pilot program, we want to keep it small so we can practice really well, because this is the first time that these groups have worked this way with each other. So yeah, between 15 and 20 families, that is the main goal to start out. And the congregations, again, because they know the neighborhoods really well, it is from them that we are finding these families that are in need, that can use the help, want the help, and will be able to partner with us. So these congregations are the ones that will be nominating the families.
So talk to us a little bit about some of the ways that we can come on board and help with Communitas right now as we're getting going.
As any new or startup business or an organization, we have a long list of needs. We have 3 categories. We have on the operational side. The past 3-4 months, Jason and I have been using the church office, our homes, coffee shops to do our work. Pretty soon we do have to settle and have an office space. So if anyone knows of anyone or any space that's available that hopefully they can, offer it to us pro bono, or if not at a minimal rent, please let us know. Pretty soon we're going to be needing computers, printers, all the regular stuff that goes on in starting up a business, which in a way this is. For our programs, we're going to need the human capital. We are going to need all sorts of mentorship and volunteers. If you're an attorney, if you are a physician who is willing to see 2, 3, 5 families per month at no cost, if you have time to provide food to help with one of the nonprofits that we are partnering with, such as the homeless shelter, if you have time to tutor kids of the families who will be in our care, or some of the adults, we're going to need all sorts of human volunteer mentorship assistance. So I hope that you will sign up and give of your time, of your talents, and of course your money. As Jason said, the scholarships per year, it's going to be about $3,300 to support the families. We're looking at a model where it will cost us about $12,000 to $16,000 a year. We would love if anyone is, if God speaks to you and you are willing to sponsor a family for a year, or sponsor one of the kids for scholarship, we'd love to have your help. You can contact us at any time. We're happy to meet with you in person, talk more in detail, and get you engaged with us.
Well, thank you guys. Anything else last?
Yeah, I mean, this is really the next 3 months for us is critical. We're trying to move now from this idea where we've got the momentum, the business, the civic sector, the congregations. They're on board. They're already moving. They're excited. Now's the time to really kind of help us move from this idea to action, or faith into action, as I think I read somewhere close at hand. This is our opportunity. So you have the pencils, you have your orange cards. If you want to be a mentor, you want to be a coach, you want to be a partner, check that box, put your name down, tell us how to get in touch with you. If you say, I can provide some volunteer help once in a while, great. If you can help us in some professional capacity, think about our business model or doing research. Do you have time? You're really good at looking up databases and finding information. We need that too. Helping a literacy program or develop fiscal literacy, adult literacy. Any way that you can or want to get involved, we want to hear from you. So grab the pencils, write it down on the orange cards, put it in the plate when they come around. It's the only way that this is going to work is by doing good together, and we need you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Maria, very much. One of the things that Jason and Mary have discovered, Dave Ferguson has discovered with Sajura, is when you talk about starting a new nonprofit, you'll find a lot of people who are excited, who think it's just a great idea. And when you ask them for money, they say, we'll give it to you once we see that it's successful. And so when we talk about, and why part of the request that we're asking is financial, eventually, so much of the financial support for these organizations will be coming from the business sector, from grants that are submitted and things like that. But right now, these nonprofits need people who are a little bit less wise with their money, which is why we come to people at church. Because people at church, no, I'm kidding. You know how to spend your money. But the reason why we're coming to the church is there's people who believe that God can turn something out of nothing. And so we're at the place where everything's starting to come together, and we just need that financial boost to get us off the ground, and then all of a sudden other things start to happen. I'm happy to tell you that our sister church of Vallejo Drive has already decided to financially partner with us on the Glendale Communitas initiative, and that's going to be a significant step in the right direction, but we still need significantly more. So, of course, money is something we're talking about a lot right now, but ultimately what this is about is us to be the hands and feet of Jesus in our community. So thank you for all the ways that you're thinking of partnering with A+, with Sajura, and Communitas. With that said, we're going to collect our offering at this time, and I hope, in addition to what you give to support the ministry of this church, you will turn in this card letting us know how you will be joining us in serving our community. Deacons, would you please stand? Father, we hear your call. We hear your heartbeat. We hear your voice speak, calling us to make sure that everyone is included in the blessings that you seek to give, that everyone has the chance to experience your salvation, not only for eternity, but even in the here and now. Receive our donations today. Receive our commitment of our time and energies as our expression of love to you and our expression of love to the community. We look forward to what you will do through us and so many others in the city in the years to come. In Jesus' name, amen. we leave, may we leave knowing that there is a God who chose to leave his comfortable dwelling and come to us. And may we, out of that joy of living in the light and salvation of the incarnate Jesus Christ, may we in turn be his incarnation into the city of Glendale. Go in that hope and in that commitment. In Jesus' name, amen.